Hello, good evening and welcome to the midweek edition of Business Live. Coming up in this bulletin, government issues a new 12-month mining license to Goldfields subsidiary Aboso Goldfields Limited following an agreement reached between government and the firm on transitional arrangements for the diamond mine. We have details for you. Exim Bank seeks support from development partners and investors to assist more local firms.
And so it is one of the reasons we are here, and we've had a couple of meetings, but the prospects are more likely from the Exim Bank, which is an African export and import bank, and we are still exploring other engagements.
Plus, celebrating Ghanaian creativity, the Joy Business Van takes you on a journey again through the Be a Champion Gallery. Details of these and more for you. Stay on. Thanks so much for your time. I am Pius Kojobaka, and looking at our stories. Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Johnson Isiama, has announced that the central bank is set to begin regulating cryptocurrencies in Ghana starting this September. He made the disclosure at the African Leaders and Partners Forum in Washington, D.C. George Yafi reports.
The Bank of Ghana Governor Dr. Johnson Isiama noted that this has been influenced by some development in the industry and also to ensure that the regulator actively captures happenings in that sector.
I was surprised to know that there are Ghanaian business people who are able to pay for their imports. They don't go through any bank. All that they do is to go through what? Crypto. And a gentleman walked to me and showed me the data. He pays about $5 million a week to his suppliers. He's into frozen chicken imports, and he doesn't go through any bank. So when I saw that data, I became alarmed. Because what it means is that his $5 million a week is not going to our balance of payments. It's not going to our records, and yet it is happening. So you can understand the scale.
The governor announced that to aid the effective regulations of these crypto platforms, they have set up a special unit on digital assets at the Bank of Ghana.
At the central bank, we are setting up a special unit on digital assets. We are setting up these to be able to regulate the crypto platforms. As it is now, there's no visibility. And yet, this is technology we cannot prevent. And so hopefully by September, we hope to have what they call the VASP law, the Virtual Asset Providers Act or law. We intend to pass that in place so we can license vast platforms and the likes. And we are working with SEC, the Securities and Exchange Commission, to be able to manage these. We don't want to stifle innovation, but we want to be sure that these are done in an orderly and in a safe way.
Speaking on other issues at the African Leaders and Partners Forum organized by the EBII Group at the Ghana Embassy in Washington, D.C., USA, the governor noted that pursuing macroeconomic stability should be seen as one of the surest ways to attract the needed capital to Ghana and other African countries.
The U.S. should support Africa's ability to trade competitively by investing in both infrastructure and trade finance. Through institutions like the U.S. International Development Finance Corporation and Exim Bank, the U.S. can partner with African countries to strengthen ports, roads, and energy systems, while also helping scale trade finance hubs to support SMEs and emerging exporters. Let us shape a future where Africa and the U.S. are not just trading partners, but co-creators of prosperity, where American innovation meets African ingenuity, where partnership is not extractive, but transformational. If Cosmos could help launch Ghana's oil era and niche cocoa could move from Accra to Wisconsin, imagine what the next chapter of US-Africa trade could look like with the right policies in place.
The governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Johnson Isiama, noted that the central bank is committed to putting in place the necessary regulations and structures to assure foreign investors that their capital are safe when they invest in Ghana.
Georgia Fifa out of that report. And I want us to have a conversation at the back of this. Joining us via Zoom is a senior finance lecturer at the University of Ghana Business School, Dr. Benjamin Amoah. Pleasure you could join me, sir, on Business Live. Now, what potential impact could crypto regulation have on Ghana's financial system and the economy, you would say?
You know, the cryptocurrencies that we are talking about has been in the system for some years now, about 2 decades now. And it is something that regulators, such as the central bank, have been very slow in regulating because many central banks had adopted a wait-and-see attitude before coming up with the needed regulation. Even in our case, the central bank, up to what we are hearing now, was very shy of coming straight on what it will do with cryptocurrency. But it's exciting to know that today we are hearing that from September, Bank of Ghana will come up clear on policies and guidelines in the area of cryptocurrency. It is that currency that has now come to stay, and financial structures or financial systems around the world cannot pretend as if cryptocurrencies do not exist. What is happening is that you have a lot of transactions, both legal and illegal, taking place within the cryptocurrency ecosystem. The truth of the matter is that within that ecosystem, in as much as players will make the argument that it is a parallel economy that exists in them, you realize that in many instances, funds move from what we call the regulated economy and it finds itself into the crypto space. What it means is that if you are Bank of Ghana, your CD, which values economic transactions, will directly or indirectly find some of the CDs or the value getting into the cryptocurrency space, which is a decentralized currency space. As a regulator, you want to know how much of your economic transactions is within the cryptocurrency space and how much is also coming from the cryptocurrency ecosystem into your economy. Don't forget, what gives our CD the value or the backing is the reserves that we have. And the reserves that we have must be protected. And if you have a situation where the funds move into the crypto space, where it is decentralized, and you don't know what is happening within that particular space, you are exposing yourself. Other countries are also legalizing the usage of crypto. So if the central bank has thought through it, and the central bank now has the capacity to regulate and formally streamline economic activities that takes place within the cryptocurrency ecosystem into the mainstream financial system, then I think it is high time that we accept it so that we can have a clean transition from our regulated financial services space into the crypto or decentralized currency space.
And it is good you've mentioned the local currency because we are wondering how this might affect the use of the Ghana cedi, particularly in cross-border or digital transactions.
Yeah, what will happen is that the central bank itself, I think some few months ago, talked about its own digital currency, what we call the ECD. And that ECD is just similar to the cryptocurrency, but the difference is that with the ECD, it is the central bank or the state that is issuing it. The value of the ECD, which is the same as your CD in your pocket, will be backed by the country's reserves. So the volatility there is just like what we have within the normal, Ghana cedi we are using. In the crypto space, because it is decentralized, the value of the currency is an issue of demand and supply. And currency per se should not have its value changing because of demand and supply. The stability of the currency should be influenced by the reserves that back the currency. So if our CD is being backed by our reserves, the CD that we have, so the dollars that we have at the Bank of Ghana, the gold reserves that we have is what is backing our CD. Then as we move into or we open up the crypto space, Bank of Ghana will have the ability to know how much is moving in and out there, and appropriate reserve can be set to deal with that particular or that particular gate that will be open when it comes to the inflows and outflow of funds through the cryptocurrency space.
Let's talk about the September, start line for the regulation, like the Bank of Ghana said. Do you think that is feasible, considering the fact that there's been argument that enough consultation and, of course, awareness creation hasn't been done on that?
Yeah, it is very feasible. It is very feasible because for the crypto space, you need Securities and Exchange Commission to come in, because the users of crypto will always make the argument that it is just a means of exchange. If it is a means of exchange, then it solely becomes the domain of Bank of Ghana. However, if you go into the crypto ecosystem, realize that it is not simply a means of exchange, that is a currency. Some individuals hold the cryptocurrency because they are holding it as investment instrument. If it is an investment instrument, then the Securities and Exchange Commission must come in to treat it just like we have any of the financial instruments that we have on our market. What it means is that Securities and Exchange Commission has a role to play in the regulation of cryptocurrencies in Ghana. The Financial Intelligence Center also have a role to play because the cryptocurrency ecosystem has been noted for a conduit for money laundering activities and terrorism activities. So you want the Financial Intelligence Center to come in. You can't leave out IOCO because some of these organized crime, the proceeds are used, or the proceeds are passed through the cryptocurrency channel. So you want to see IOCO also come into play. Then, of course, GRA must also come in, because those who will hold it as investment instruments, the gains that they will make when they hold the instrument must suffer tax. So you want to see Ghana Revenue Authority coming in to deal with the tax aspect on the gains that will be made when individuals or investors hold the instrument. Between now and September, coming from the backdrop that Bank of Ghana itself has started its own ECD arrangement, I would have loved that the ECD will even be rolled out first before the crypto law, so that at least we can use the ECD as a learning curve to know some of the nuances around the crypto discussion. But nonetheless, I strongly believe that with the advancement that BOG has made in the ECD introduction, it will not be out of place, and come September, capacity will have been built such that we can easily transition into the regulation of activities that pertain to cryptocurrency and the likes. And it is good for the economy, because almost every economy now is coming to accept that these decentralized currencies will have to be given a special look and at best be regulated.
Dr. Benjamin Amoah, Senior Finance Lecturer at the University of Ghana Business School, I truly appreciate your time once more for speaking to us here on Business Live. Let's move on to some other stories. Government and the Goldfields Ghana Limited have reached an amicable agreement on transitional arrangements for Diamond Mine. Now, this will pave the way for renewed operations and potential Ghanaian ownership. This was contained in a statement from the presidency issued by the Minister of Communications, Felix Kwachufo. And I would like to share with you excerpts of that statement as released by the Minister from the presidency in relation to this story. There you go on your screens. Captured, Government of Ghana and Goldfields reach agreement on transition arrangements for Diamond Mine. It reads, the Government of Ghana and Goldfields Ghana Limited have reached an amicable agreement on a transitional plan for the Diamond Mine. Now, the operational modalities of the transition involve issuing a new 12-month mining lease to Goldfields subsidiary, Aboso Goldfields Limited, pending parliamentary ratification in May 2025. Now, under the new arrangement, Goldfields will resume open pit mining during the transition period, safeguarding jobs, and conducting feasibility studies to establish the mine's reserves and mine life. It goes on to say, at the same time, the processing of existing stockpiles will continue under the supervision of a joint management team composed of representatives from the government of Ghana and Goldfields. The two parties will work in good faith to secure a successful transition and eventual transfer of a viable mine to Ghanaian ownership. Both parties have agreed to advance discussions in good faith on the renewal of the lease for the Takwa mine due in 2027 and pledged to work together to enhance Ghana's potential in the mining sector as a favorable investment destination. Like I said, this was signed by the spokesperson to the president and also the minister in charge of government communications, Felix Kwakye-Ofosu. We shall be bringing you more subsequently on that. But Exim Bank Ghana has announced that it is seeking funding from the country's development partners and investors to support more local firms exploring new markets. The move has been influenced by recent global trade tariffs that has affected some Ghanaian exporters. Sylvester Mensah is chief executive of Exim Bank and has been speaking to Joy Business in Washington, D.C. on the sidelines of the IMF World Bank Spring meetings.
We were sufficient enough on our own to manage some of these funding. I'm sure would have remained in Accra. We are here to make our case to some of our partners who have agreed that this forum would offer a better opportunity for us to have enough time to go into some of these conversations. And so it is one of the reasons we are here, and we've had a couple of meetings, but the prospects are more likely from the Exim Bank, which is an African export and import bank, and we are still exploring other engagements. We have a number of engagements outlined between now and the 30th, and so let's see what comes out of some of these. But the ultimate objective is to have enough funding to support these key projects that we have outlined.
Honorable, I know you would play a key role, even though there's not been a disclosure yet. What role would the Exim Bank be playing in all those things? Maybe even an advisory role in technical support in engaging the U.S. government, one, on the extension of AGWA, and also to see how we can minimize the recent tariff hikes on the Ghanaian economy.
Well, I'm happy to say that I was in the U.S. before the bill on AGWA was passed as a member of parliament. I had the occasion of meeting with the Black Congressional Caucus of the U.S. and discussing the whole concept of AGWA before it was finally passed. I think that we need that a lot more today than.
So watching Business Live, we are back with the Joy Business Van.